there for you. It helps you in all you do. It helps you know you do. So tune in and now enjoy the fun. Join us now, enjoy the show.
Hey, 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 my name is Gabe, and today is a great day to learn something new.
So let's do that together, friends. My name is Anne-Marie, and this is Studio Classroom.
All right, you know what? We have a lesson today that is very environmentally friendly. It's about sporting events that are going green. To go green is another way of saying you want to become more environmentally friendly. So, what are some other events that you think could be made more environmentally friendly?
This is a great question. I think about things like marathons where people are using a lot of one-time use plastics like water bottles, or maybe even the numbers that they have on the front of their shirts.
Yes.
Things like that are one-time use items, and a lot of people use them all at the same time. So maybe things like that could be more environmentally friendly.
Not only marathons, but like any event that requires a lot of things like water bottles or disposable objects, right?
Yeah, like maybe concerts as well. You think about the tickets that people bring, or maybe the wristbands that they wear to get in. All of those things are one-time use.
Yeah, you're right about that. Friends, what do you think? What kind of events could be made more environmentally friendly or eco-friendly? How can we go green? Well, today our lesson is how sports events are going green. So let's get right into the first reading for the day.
How sports events are going green. Greener games for a cleaner future. Whether it's a local match or a global competition like the Olympics, sports events create excitement, energy, and a sense of unity. However, while these events captivate millions, little do most people realize their significant environmental footprint. Large crowds, energy-intensive facilities, and the use of disposable plastic and paper products contribute to pollution and waste. Fortunately, some sports organizations are now embracing sustainable practices to reduce their impact on the planet.
Hello, I'm Jack. 今天的 usage tip 是介绍 little do 加 s 加 v 的句型。它是一种倒装句，用来强调几乎不知道或是完全没有意识到，通常用来表示对某件事毫无察觉，带有出乎意料的含义。但是由于 little 是否定副词，放在句首的时候，该句就需要倒装，也就是助动词 do、does、did 要放在主词的前面，以增强否定语气。这种句型常用于正式语境或是书面语，特别是在叙述或强调惊讶的情境下。我们来看例句 Little did she realize how much her words had hurt him. 她完全没有意识到自己的话对他造成了多大的伤害。
Thank you very much, Jack. Again, the name is How Sports Events Are Going Green. Greener games for a cleaner future.
We read on here, friends, whether it's a local match or a global competition like the Olympics, sports events create excitement, energy, and a sense of unity. Let's talk about this word match here when we're talking about sporting matches.
That's right. This is a game or a contest between two people or two teams, maybe even more teams, right? But the soccer match between the two schools was very exciting. So we often use this to talk about sports. There's a local match or a global competition like the Olympics, and sports events create excitement, energy, and a sense of unity. So there's a lot of really good things that these events can create. But of course, there are some negative things as well.
That's right. We read about that in the next sentence, friends. However, while these events captivate millions, little do most people realize their significant environmental footprint. Large crowds, energy-intensive facilities, and the use of disposable plastic and paper products contribute to pollution and waste.
Well, let's take a look at that term energy intensive. This is requiring a lot of energy to do or to produce. For example, mining is an energy intensive industry.
We see another term that we want to talk about from this sentence, friends, and that's the term disposable. Disposable things are made to be used once or just for a short time and then discarded or thrown away.
Yeah, we should cut back on disposable plastic products. There are some disposable products that are made with things that are more eco-friendly, for example, maybe like bamboo chopsticks or something like that. However, you want to think about the things that are bad for the environment, those bad disposable products, because some of these things contribute to pollution and waste. I often think of contributing to something as being helpful. You want to be helpful for society. How will you contribute to society? But we also can use this phrase to talk about contributing to a problem. That is to help cause or solve something.
For example, that negative talk is just contributing to the problem. It's not helping, and it's maybe even making it worse. We read on here, fortunately, some sports organizations are now embracing sustainable practices to reduce their impact on the planet. Let's talk about the idea of a sustainable practice.
Sure, anything sustainable. This is a method that protects the environment and can be continued long term. So if it's only beneficial for now, then it's not sustainable. You have to think, can this practice be continued not just next year or the next decade, but centuries into the future?
That's right. Here's an example of how you can use sustainable practice in a sentence. Using reusable bags is a sustainable practice.
Well, right now it's time for us to go into the next reading for the day.
How sports events are going green. The 2024 Paris Olympics is a prime example of an eco-friendly event. With a strong focus on sustainability, the Olympics aimed to reduce carbon emissions, promote zero waste, and encourage low-carbon transportation. Taiwan has also taken action. Since 2024, its Ministry of Environment has collaborated with major sports organizers to implement plastic reduction and low-carbon strategies. The goal is to make sports events a vehicle for environmental education, thereby changing people's daily habits.
我们来看 carbon 这个名词，意思是碳。来看例句 ：Knowing the harm caused by mined diamonds, Penelope chose one made in a lab from pressurized carbon. 在了解开采钻石对环境的危害后 ，Penelope 选择了一颗在实验室用高压碳制成的钻石。Carbon 的形容词是 carbonated， 意思是碳酸的。譬如 For those who enjoy carbonated drinks but want less sugar, try replacing soda with sparkling water. 喜欢碳酸饮料但又想减糖的人，可以尝试用气泡水取代汽水。另一个名词是 carbonation， 意思是碳酸化作用。譬如 Mentos explode in soda because their rough surface reacts with carbonation. 曼陀珠在汽水中会爆炸，因为它粗糙的表面与碳酸作用产生反应。
Thank you very much, Jack. So let's talk here a little bit about the Paris Olympics because we read that they were a prime example of an eco-friendly event.
Okay, if something is a prime example of something, it means that it's a perfect or very clear example of something. Here's an example. That speech was a prime example of strong leadership.
Yeah, when you think of a prime example, perhaps it's the best example if you want to communicate a message. You just point to that thing. That's the example to use, right? So, according to the writer here, the 2024 Paris Olympics is a prime example of an eco-friendly event with a strong focus on sustainability. Remember, just now we talked about a sustainable practice. Sustainable is an adjective. Sustainability is a noun. Okay, you want to focus on sustainability. The Olympics aimed to reduce carbon emissions, promote zero waste, and encourage low carbon transportation.
Okay, friends, let's talk about that term promote. If something is being promoted, it means it is being encouraged or it's being advertised. Here's an example. The group works to promote healthy eating. In our article, we see here that the Paris 2024 Olympics, they were actually promoting zero waste. They were saying that this is a good idea. They were advertising zero waste.
That's right. And we read about another place here. Taiwan also has taken action, right? If you're taking action, that means you're doing something to solve a problem or to make a change. You're not just sitting there, listening to somebody else talk about it. You're actually doing something about it yourself.
Here's how you could use take action in a sentence. It's time to take action against climate change. Now we read here, since 2024, its Ministry of Environment has collaborated with major sports organizers to implement plastic reduction and low carbon strategies. When we say the Ministry of Environment, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, this is usually a government department responsible for protecting nature and the environment in general. For example, the Ministry of Environment launched a new recycling program. We often see that word ministry with different government departments. For example, the Ministry of Education.
That's a good point. Now, we also see another term here that we want to talk about, and it's the term implement. What does that mean?
This means to start using a plan or a system. Maybe the plan is already there, but if you're just talking about it, you haven't started to implement it yet. For example, the school will implement new safety rules next month.
That's a great example. So we see here the goal is to make sports events a vehicle for environmental education, thereby changing people's daily habits. Now, if something is a vehicle to do something else, it means that it is the way they are accomplishing something.
Yeah, here in our lesson, it's not actually talking about a mode of transportation like a car or a taxi, right?
No.
No. It's just a way or a method to do something. So, thereby changing people's daily habits. Are there some daily habits that you need to change, friends? I think we all have habits we probably need to change. We can think about that as we go into today's Info Cloud.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Info Cloud. Rex, have you tried that new language app?
Yes, it's very effective. It's a real game changer for me.
Oh, let's explain that one. What is a game changer?
Originally, the phrase came from sports. A game changer is a play or player that completely changes the outcome of a game.
Now we use it for anything that has a big positive impact.
A new idea, product, person, or even a decision can be a game changer.
It's something that shifts the direction of how things go, usually for the better.
It's also a compliment. If someone calls you a game changer, they mean you made a big difference.
So don't be afraid to try something bold. It might just be a game changer. Sometimes one shift can change everything.
当一样东西出现后，整个局势都改变了，我们就可以说它是 a game changer。这个用语源自于球场，指能够逆转战局的关键动作或是人物。 That new app is a game changer for language learning. 那个新语言 App 是学习上的重大突破。它也常用来形容带来创新或改变的点子、产品或人，强调影响力非常大。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
How sports events are going green. One of the most effective ways to make a sports event more sustainable is by reducing single-use items. Event organizers can digitize materials such as brochures and replace large printed posters with LED screens. In Japan, in an effort to cut down on plastic waste at professional baseball games, fans can enjoy plastic-free viewing by bringing their own water bottles with sponsors providing reusable, eco-friendly cups. But sustainability extends beyond paper and single-use plastics. The 2020 Tokyo Olympic medals were made from recycled electronic devices, while the 2024 Paris Olympic medals featured iron fragments from the Eiffel Tower.
"接下来看名词 fragment， 意思是碎片。例如 He carefully picked up the fragments of his cello, heartbroken over losing such a beautiful instrument. 他小心地捡起大提琴的碎片，为失去这么美丽的乐器而心碎。Fragment 的形容词是 fragmented， 意思是分裂的、零散的。譬如Music tastes are more diverse and fragmented than they were in the past, making it hard to find songs that everyone can sing along to. 与过去相比，现在的音乐口味更多元、更分散，很难找到人人都能跟着一起唱的歌曲。另一个相关的名词是 fragmentation， 意思是破碎、分裂。譬如 Severe trauma can cause memory fragmentation, leading people to forget parts of their lives. 严重的创伤会导致记忆碎片化，使人忘记生活中的某些部分。
Thank you so much, Jack. Well, Anne-Marie, I gotta say that this sentence here in the beginning of this section kind of reminds me of what you were talking about earlier, because we were talking about different things or different events that could be a little more eco-friendly. You mentioned marathons because they use a lot of disposable cups, right? And those disposable things are single-use things.
That's right, and we see this term here in this first sentence, friends. We read one of the most effective ways to make a sports event more sustainable is by reducing single-use items. We also use the term disposable here as well. When we say single-use, we're talking about products that are used only once and then they are thrown away when you're done using them. Many coffee shops try to avoid this now. They don't like you to use a single-use cup. They ask you to bring your own.
And a lot of drink shops like coffee shops or tea shops will actually encourage people to bring their own containers that are not single-use. They're not disposable containers. And how do they promote this behavior? By offering a little bit of a discount.
So the opposite here of single-use item would be reusable item, like a reusable cup. How does our lesson continue?
Event organizers can digitize materials such as brochures and replace large printed posters with LED screens. So to digitize something, that means to take something that maybe was physical or traditionally made in a physical way, and now to make it in a digital way, to change the form from physical to digital.
Here's an example of how you could use digitize in a sentence. The museum plans to digitize all its old photos. Okay, so we see here they're trying to digitize materials such as brochures. Now, a brochure, friends, is a small booklet, and it usually gives some type of information about where you are, like in a museum, or it might advertise something like a service.
If I have not done my research before traveling somewhere on vacation, I often find myself picking up several brochures in the lobby of the hotel that I'm staying at, because I might be curious, well, what can we do in this neighborhood anyway?
And brochures are great if you need them, but honestly, probably when you go to a big event, a lot of that information can just be found online, or if it's just digitized, the people who need it can go online and look, and the people who don't need to carry around a piece of paper they're just going to throw away.
That's true. Maybe instead of handing out brochures, you can just stand there with your smartphone and a QR code and tell people what you're doing, and they can scan the QR code.
That's a great idea. All right, well, we read on here, in Japan, in an effort to cut down on plastic waste at professional baseball games, fans can enjoy plastic-free viewing by bringing their own water bottles, with sponsors providing reusable, eco-friendly cups.
Okay, you want to cut down on something. That means you're going to use or do less of something. You're going to reduce something. For example, we often use this phrase when we're talking about our diet. I'm trying to cut down on sugar and caffeine.
All right, we have a little bit more to learn about here, friends, so let's go on to the next paragraph. But sustainability extends beyond paper and single-use plastics. If something extends beyond something else, it means that it is going further than the other thing.
For example, the fashion designer's influence extends beyond the fashion world. And here, sustainability extends beyond paper and single-use plastics. The 2020 Tokyo Olympic medals were made from recycled electronic devices. And I really love this next fact. While the 2024 Paris Olympic medals featured iron fragments from the Eiffel Tower, I would have loved to have been an Olympian who had a medal with pieces of the Eiffel Tower in it.
That is really, really cool and very sustainable as well, friends. This is something very interesting that I learned today. Well, it's time for us to learn something else new today, so let's go to today's fun fact.
Hello, fact friends. I'm Detective Ernest Finder, and I have a fun fact for you today. Did you know that running is one of the most eco-friendly sports? It's true. Running is usually not bad for the environment. But don't run on top of fragile plants or animals. That would not be eco-friendly. But running on a road is okay. And that is today's fun running fact.
Friends, we've come to the end of our lesson today, so I want to review. What are some ways we can make sporting events more eco-friendly?
Yes, well, of course, you want to go green. You want to become more eco-friendly or environmentally friendly. And one of the ways we learned about in our lesson today is that events like this can use less or fewer disposable things, fewer single-use items, and use more reusable items, and perhaps hand out less brochures. That's always a good thing.
That's right. Digitizing information is a good way for people to still access the information, but not have to have so much waste. What do you think about this, friends? Are there any other ways that weren't mentioned in our article that could help sporting events go green? Talk about that in English. Well, that's all the time we have for today. My name is Anne-Marie.
And my name is Gabe, saying see you next time right here on
Studio Classroom.
A good friend lasts a lifetime. A friend gives at all times. A friend cares at all times. A friend endures at all times. A good friend lasts a lifetime. I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.